Hi, this is Jürgen from Polymash, and today let's push on with our series around podcast content syndication, more particularly content syndication for your show notes. And today what we're going to be exploring is how to use publishing on content hubs as a way to earn backlinks, earn traffic, get your content out there. And we'll also explore some additional channels to publish to, such as having to do with email marketing and beyond that. So with that, let's push on with our series on content syndication. First, let me do just a quick recap like we usually do. What we did last time in episode 3, we covered how we augment our social media publishing with influencer marketing campaigns. Sure, you want to publish to your own followers, that's important, but the reason and benefits for influencer marketing is that this concept reaches beyond your own audience and has people outside of your existing networks promote and share your episode show notes. And that can have a very positive impact on growing your reach. Because of the approval and quality review process that this content goes through in the influencer networks, lightvote show notes are usually not approved. And so this again served as a reminder that your podcast show notes articles, when treated and created as high quality articles, can play an outsized role in promoting your podcast, because that's what's needed to go through the approval process in the influencer marketing networks that are out there and that we use for our clients. So with that said, let's focus today on exploring content hubs. And I'm using the term content hubs a little loosely here. The definition usually goes like this. A content hub is a destination where website visitors can find branded, curated, social media, user-generated, or any type of content related to a topic. Okay, so the benefits of that is that a lot of content hubs can have millions of existing visitors, and so also that links from these sites are very valuable. So it's both about traffic as well as earning backlinks. So let's delve into some of the details on these. First up is Medium, and that's perhaps one of the best-known content hubs. I like to think of Medium as a content hub for thought leadership and writers on a whole range of topics. And Medium has over 100 million readers built into the platform, so it's sort of like having a long-form social media platform for writers and thought leaders. And your content can be discovered there. In fact, Medium can promote it amongst their followers if it's good enough or if they deem it good enough. Now, of course, we have an ulterior SEO motive in publishing there. A backlink from Medium is super valuable. The platform has an unbelievable domain authority of 95. And so you can publish there manually, or you can, what we, of course, are talking about in this series is how we use our content syndication platform, StoryChief, to publish to all of these places in an automated and schedulable way. And more on that in an upcoming episode. But earning these backlinks and publishing on Medium, the fact that we can automate it, the fact that we can schedule it, the fact that we can get our podcast show notes into Medium can have a really beneficial result. You start getting followers on Medium, you get those backlinks, and you might well get a good amount of traffic as well. Next up is Blogger. Now, Blogger is a free blog you can simply sign up for. It's owned by Google, and because Blogger is the very first stop for many new bloggers, it's also among one of the largest blogging networks in the world. The millions of blogs already created in Blogger all link to each other, and that works because of how Google has integrated their search features into the site. So there are suggestions for other sites or like it. And so when you stand up a blog on Blogger, there's a good chance that you see related ones or that people can discover you because your subject matter is relevant to them. So that can increase your exposure by directly connecting you with other existing blogs and their readers. So, and of course, again, this is not the reason that we set up accounts for our podcast clients there. We do this not for the traffic or only a little bit for the traffic, but primarily we do it for the site rank. A backlink from Blogger is a natural plus for content syndication. And since YouTube is owned by Google, the conspiracy-minded SEOs among us speculate that There are ranking advantages in being on any one of the Google-owned platforms, and Blogger is one of those. Now, moving on to Ghost. Ghost is a super interesting case. It's a more recent and modern CMS or content management platform. And while it's not free, it is affordable and it has lots of advantages. Monetization, email list building, creating an attractive, high-performing site. Here's their value proposition from their site. Their advertising copy goes like, build a website, publish posts, send newsletters, grow an audience, sell premium subscriptions, create a sustainable business around your creative work. So it's so easy to use that I'm able to create a terrific looking site in a few hours and start republishing existing content to it. And what I love then specifically about Ghost is that it connects seamlessly to our content syndication platform, StoryChief. Go back to episode 2 where we started to talk about that and the timing of how we release our show notes and trickle those out over a number of weeks and why we use this internally. If you don't currently have a website or a content management system website, you could do worse. Now, I realize there are a lot of great podcast websites that, are easy to create, and those certainly are tempting, but none of them can connect with StoryChief, our primary content syndication platform. And because we do this for clients, we focus on that and we focus on the platforms that do connect to it. And this is really a terrific one. RSS. Many of us think of RSS as being associated with our podcast feeds, but in this context, the examples that I'll be citing here focus on writing platforms that, again, our content syndication system can publish to automatically. Remember, this series covers how we at Polymash do content syndication of show notes for our clients, and therefore being efficient is paramount importance to us. And this means that we don't mess about with platforms that require manual processes or copy-paste publishing. So if you're a do-it-yourself podcaster, as I mentioned, there are other good platforms out there. Platforms like Substack, for example, are a popular way to run a newsletter. And you might also have seen people publish on paper.ly or Scoop It. And that's where having the ability to just publish your content via RSS feed is useful, because you might be able to identify other platforms that can listen to that RSS feed of yours. And that's where being able to publish via RSS adds enormous flexibility to distribute your show notes. And so having a platform that can publish not to one but multiple RSS feeds then means that you can connect those RSS feeds to those client platforms like paper.ly or Scoop It or other platforms. So that's why we love StoryChief, because it allows us to manage and maintain multiple outbound RSS feeds to distribute our show notes, or in this case, the show notes for our clients. And lastly, and this is a small one, but it might be meaningful for businesses with a local presence, we publish to Google My Business as a platform. And this is really great for real estate, financial advisors, really anyone who's able to set up a local Google My Business page. So, if you have the ability, by all means, why not publish your content there? I do that for every episode that we release. The true subscriber of a podcast for me is really someone who's on my email list. It's not someone who's anonymous. If someone listens to our podcast on Apple or Spotify or any other platforms, I'll at best get some statistics from my podcast host, but I have no true insight around which content repeat listeners liking, or even if they truly listen. I mean, I myself download dozens of podcast episodes every day. That happens automatically through my listening apps, but I only listen to a few. And all podcast hosts on the other end, they can see is that somebody downloaded the episode. I really don't know that much more about their behavior, where else they went on my website. And while they're improving measurement and standards for measurements and analytics, they're improving in the industry. But what I'm getting at is that a podcast listener who remains anonymous, for me, is not nearly as valuable as someone who's joined my email list. So I would always gladly trade 1,000 anonymous Apple Podcast subscribers for 100 listeners who've actually joined my email list and with whom I can build a relationship going forward. Episode notifications and syndication of your show notes and sending that out to your email followers is a really powerful reminder that, hey, you've published a new episode. It's way more powerful than just relying on the assumption that because they're subscribed to your podcast, they're going to listen to every episode. So being able to send them an email reminder is powerful. Here are some of the platforms involved. Our own marketing automation engine is ActiveCampaign, and it does a good job of automating these episode notifications that go out to Polymash subscribers. Again, I'm looking for optimization and automation and saving time. I don't want to go and have to manually create a newsletter and press the send button every week. I want this to be on autopilot, and many of our clients want that too. And so ActiveCampaign is one of the email platforms that does this relatively well. So again, I talked about StoryChief. So we have a special RSS feed that just is set up with ActiveCampaign from our content syndication platform, and ActiveCampaign listens to any new episodes appearing in that feed. And by that, I don't mean, again, the audio, I mean the show notes. And then it publishes those to my email list. Basically, any new episodes are published to this feed. ActiveCampaign listens and sends out an automated email to my list. Moving on here, again, Ghost is an interesting case. Some of our clients use this platform for sending email newsletters. It sends gorgeous looking email newsletters with everything on it. Like the images look great. So it's a little more attractive, in my opinion, than ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, or some of the other choices out there. And plus, it handles the subscription process and can build an email list and can even service a premium paid subscription. So you could have a scenario in which you have a private podcast feed and you want to be able to service the email list with those articles only, and they can certainly do that. And they can even handle the monetization aspect of it. So that's why we kind of like Ghost as an alternative platform. A more pedestrian example might be MailChimp. But what I've always appreciated about MailChimp is that it has one of the best RSS triggered newsletter design interfaces. So if you don't like the way that it comes across on ActiveCampaign, or if you want to have some flexibility how big the images are, whether they're on the right, the left, or the top, or what it actually looks like, you can customize the look and feel of what these emails look like, better than on any other platforms pretty much. You do need a paid plan for this on MailChimp because the free MailChimp plans don't include RSS feed automation. Basically, all of these systems use the RSS feeds as the trigger, and so this means that any RSS-capable email system, can be used. I don't know if Klaviyo or some of the others, there are hundreds of email systems out there, and you might already have one. So a good question to ask would be, does it have some RSS feed automation capabilities built in? So the next idea is somewhat rare, but many podcasters have Shopify-driven stores. So here we're talking about publishing to e-commerce hubs as another sort of content hub, if you will. A lot of podcasters have a Shopify store to offer swag and branded gear. And what many of us don't realize is that one can publish content there. And so why not also distribute your show notes there? Again, the expectation isn't that this will generate a lot of traffic, but earning a backlink from a 95 domain authority Shopify domain is nonetheless very valuable. And Magento is another very popular e-commerce store. These are the two that are supported by StoryChief for publishing and by our content syndication platform for publishing right out of the box. That wraps up today's episode. Next time we dive into publishing a podcast to video and what role your show notes and articles then play in those scenarios. In the meantime, please follow us on YouTube and subscribe to the Podcast Growth channel. Just Google it and you'll find us. On Twitter and Facebook, we are under Polymash, and on Instagram, you can find us at Polymash Design. Lastly, our primary show website is at podcastingstrategy.com. The resources we discuss are at podcastingresourcesguide.com. Those are links and resources and platforms that we discuss in many of our series. And lastly, our agency site is at polymash.com. Until next time, this is Jürgen signing off for now.